No. Oh, I missed the button. I missed it. You're gonna get it anyways. Dash needs to get ready.
Man, I still got to get used to the timing of this. Like,
yeah, it's not. That was like a slap together. We ditched the old brand. I need something new. I couldn't get Premiere because I suck at it. I couldn't get the outro thing. It's fine. It's gonna get better.
He's like, it's fine. It's okay. It's okay. It's totally fine. It's no problem whatsoever.
Listen, I've been busting my balls on the back end the past few days. Let me have you. You know, YouTube is never straightforward, but it's fine because it's the tinfoil hat show day. Today's the day we have fun, and I don't worry about any of that nonsense. And Shiro's income because it is in, as well as German Dave. How's it going, everyone?
And wow, we've got a couple of things to cover, right? So you and I got kind of famous on the Totally Football show. It was actually kind of he's like you know, right? But it was kind of funny because I have it, but the funny thing is StreamYard won't let you play .mov files. You have to play.
No, of course not. Why would they want to play a trashy Apple proprietary file?
Exactly. So I'm gonna see if I can find it here. I do have it. I'm gonna share it, but I believe you came up with the coin phrase hoisin sauce, but yeah, we are apparently, you know, being big nods up to the Totally Football show, and German Dave for flagging this and letting us know. But yeah, hey, look, our catchphrases are going places.
No sound.
So yeah,
quiet. You gotta pump that audio.
Oh, I gotta pump the audio. You want it even louder?
Audio. I can barely hear it.
All right, well, you got some old ass ears.
Yeah, it's just not coming through very loud.
So
wait, he just says it. He doesn't say that we coined it. He just stole it.
That was gonna be nice.
Nah.
No.
Okay. I mean, maybe he came to that idea.
Yeah, maybe he said. Well, I mean, because like I think outside of, I've not heard that anywhere else besides you saying it.
The thing is now after this weekend with that piss rocket of a goal, people are paying attention, and it's like, oh look, the rest of Europe, they're actually paying attention to Sergio. That's the way I see it. Is like, oh, they're finally paying attention. Who's this kid? Hey, that sounds like the sauce that I eat because my own trash ass English food is so bad that I have to go get the Asian stuff to fucking get some flavor in my life. That's why he knows about hoisin sauce.
Apparently, MOV files can't play audio on the StreamYard because German Dave couldn't hear it anyways. But whatever. Segue to make it onto the Discord because the video is on the Discord. So,
yeah, there you go.
German Dave put it on Discord. I guess that's what happens when you run Apple products, unfortunately, because nothing likes MOV files. Absolutely nothing. You know, kind of if we're gonna keep it a little bit on the hoisinator, hoisin sauce, the hoisy boy. I'm a little bit perplexed on this. So I don't know if you've seen this or heard this. Apparently, he's getting called up to the Spanish under 21 squad.
Yeah.
So he's doing everything Delit, like he's like the opposite of Delit. I think he's like he's looking at this Netherlands side and he's like, I'm good.
Yeah,
I don't want to be there.
I don't see why he wouldn't go for Spain if he had the option.
I guess, but
my lights are not working. See, we're having one of those days, aren't we?
It's a Wednesday.
There we go. No, it turned off. Well, fuck you too, light. I guess I'm going one light.
And video tagged how a boomer works on his computer lights.
Whatever.
So, because the reason why I'm saying this is a little bit perplexing, right? So, Hoysen was born in Amsterdam, right? North Holland, Amsterdam, Netherlands. Obviously, he's Dutch, right? And his youth career was at Costa Unida and Malaga. So he's been there essentially. Yeah. So he's essentially been there, right? So he's been in Spain for a while. So it looks like, and obviously this is all, I don't have the complete because it's all speculation, right? It's just rumors that's on Twitter, and I'm just kind of like, I'm not too sure, right? So Spain is trying to expedite getting him a passport to allow him to play for that.
Yeah, I find that's wild. And don't mind me. I'm gonna
Dave's fidgeting with his stuff.
He's
playing. He's fidgeting.
Just don't mind me. I'm good. Don't worry about it.
Okay. All right. You're all right. You good? You good?
Yeah. Just gotta hold the button for 10 seconds. I'm fine.
So and obviously with his start to where he's playing at Rome right now, 2 goals, the absolute banger from outside the box. Everyone's taking a lot more notice on him. I think maybe because Huijsen, and this is what makes it interesting about Huijsen, right? I don't know for sure kind of like his thought process on it. Because like, for example, at Juve, Huijsen's not really getting the minutes, and Huijsen's like, you know what, F this, I'm going to Roma in a sense for a loan. Like, loan me. I can, I'm that dog. I'm that dude. Loan me. So the question is with the Netherlands, is he kind of in the same, the same mindset, right? Because like, and we'll talk Champions League, guys. Like, don't worry, we'll cover that. I just kind of wanted to open up a little bit with Huijsen here, but when we're looking at it from that perspective, right? When we're looking at it with Huijsen and Roma and Juve, it's almost like he's doing the same thing with the Netherlands and Spain. Where Huijsen's like, hey, I'm ready to go to the big leagues here. Like, give me a way to the big leagues. And I think the Dutch national team is like, no. And this is me speculating. It's a tinfoil hat show. I think he probably sees that his options to break through in the Netherlands squad aren't that high. That's the only thing I can think of for him really trying to go to Spain, right? It's just I'm very, very confused on that because
maybe it's more his style. Maybe he's got some buddies there. He just likes Spain.
Maybe he does. I mean, he's gone through it, right? He's gone through their system. Like he's been a part of Malaga for a while, like almost 5 years before he came over to Juve. He's been there for a while. He was born in Amsterdam, but he's been in Spain for a good chunk. And maybe that's kind of one of the things about his defensive play style that he's developed in, right? Because if you think about it, defensively, Huijsen almost strikes me as like a Spanish defender, right? Silky smooth passes, a shot, able to kind of orchestrate an offense in a sense from the back.
He is a lot more Spanish than Dutch in that sense. Yeah,
like that's kind of what, like, for example, when you look at a certain Spanish defenders that had those capabilities, like they were, like, for example, I'm not comparing him to Sergio Ramos. I'm not comparing him to PK. I'm not comparing him to Puyol. But when you look at Sergio Ramos, like he's a center back, but the dude was absolutely dynamite in the box. He wasn't the greatest passer, but like he was an offensive threat. Though I think Huijsen needs to do a significant amount of push-ups, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I'm kind of curious because like I'm trying to look up his biography, but it says here, so born in Amsterdam, Huijsen moved to Spain at the age of 5 and then joined.
Yeah, so that's fair. He's for all intents and purposes more Spanish than he is Dutch, really.
So
I would think.
I guess that's going to be the case, but here's where it gets a little bit interesting, Dave. So from 2021 to 2023, he played in the Netherlands under-19 squad. So it wasn't like he started with Spain and stuck with Spain.
No, he's going with his options, and the great thing is that you can't really lock in until your senior team, so he can play around with it. Why not? He's got that option. It's good that he's exploring his options.
And so the interesting thing about it is in February 2024, he became a Spanish citizen. But and it's
who was that he tried to come to Italy?
Luis Suarez.
Suarez, yes.
Suarez. That was a Paratici almost getting us in deep shit. Allegedly, I got to say allegedly, right? Because it was never essentially, found out. But this is perfect for the tinfoil hat show. So Luis Suarez, I don't know if you guys remember that story, but Luis Suarez, Paratici wanted him to come to Juve. The issue is he needed an Italian passport because we signed McKennie, so we filled up all the non-EU slots. There wasn't any more slots. So what they were thinking of doing is so Suarez's wife is Italian. So Suarez could take the exam and get his citizenship. And one of the rumors was that, allegedly, that Juve got the answers to the citizenship test and gave it to Suarez for him to take it.
Because he doesn't speak Italian very well either.
So they did it. And then because he was a non-EU player. So if Suarez was Spanish or any other European nationality, he wouldn't have had to done that. He would have been on the roster, no issue. That's why we got Morata. But I find it so interesting. Like nowadays, and I think I've said this on previous streams before, I think the fate of national team football is going to start turning into club football. It really is, because
turning more like that. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it has been mentioned for sure. And Reno's coming in. How's it going, Reno?
Hey, Reno. I really do start thinking it's going that way, because it's like, for example, if you look at what is it, Football Orange? It's like the Dutch website, or a Dutch website, air quotes, a Dutch website. They're like, oh, Huijsen set to pick Spain over the Netherlands, and it's like, what? Like, it's now like a bidding war on who.
But again, it's just the under 21s. It's just the under 21s. So, like Dave right here, he's talking about the senior team, how they're stacked in center backs. True, but are they going to be stacked with center backs by the time he gets there, or maybe he goes back to the Netherlands for the senior team? We don't know yet. I mean, maybe he's like, I kind of like the prospects in Spain right now, but yeah, I'll pick Netherlands when the time comes.
Well, and to make this even funnier, there was a team, and if anyone watched the African Cup of Nations, to be honest with you guys, I didn't watch it personally, but there was a story that I saw, and I believe it's called Cape Verde. I think that's the name of the country in the team. They recruited their entire national team off LinkedIn. I'm dead serious.
I mean, it's a tiny country.
So it's under. So I'm going to give them credit. I'll play the reel, and we're giving credit to it. It's Train Effective. That's the channel. He also has an Instagram page too. If you're ever looking for like how to train and stuff like that, he's got some good stuff here. So Train Effective made a video about this. Cape Verde scouted their entire AFCON team through LinkedIn, built a team off LinkedIn, and made it to the quarterfinals of AFCON.
LinkedIn. Cape Verde only qualified for AFCON in 2013 for the first time in their history, when 18 of their 25-man squad were actually born in their country. But since then, they've launched a project aiming to find eligible players to represent Cape Verde, and have used LinkedIn as a tool to find these players. So going into this AFCON tournament, their 25-man squad consisted of players from 18 different countries and...
That's crazy. Like that to me is nuts. How like they, credit to them, they did it, they pulled it off. But like that to me is absolutely hysterical. Like, note to self, everybody, you want to go pro, make a LinkedIn account.
Yeah, if you want to play for a minor African country, I guess. But you see this at the bigger stage, like France. France gets accused of this.
They do. I think, what is it? Like, for example, Italy's gonna get it. They got accused with Jorginho, right? Like that. That was
now
one
we
of
have
the biggest issues.
Retegui. Retegui's the next one.
Yeah, Retegui's the next guy. They were trying to do that on Balotelli, but it's like, dude, the guy's Italian. Like chill, relax.
Yeah, like actually is.
He actually is. Same thing with Keane.
Frankie, what's going on? What are we fucking on?
No, Frankie's talking about the LinkedIn thing. He's like, I'm gonna get my LinkedIn ready to go to next AFCON and get my citizenship. F it. I'll try it.
Yeah, buddy.
It's funny because Frankie says, "Can I play for North Korea?" You won't make it out alive if you lose.
But you'll never play any games to lose.
No, well, that's true. They'll make it look like you won every single match.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
I say, yeah, go for it, man.
Hey, look, if Dean Huijsen is choosing Spain over the Netherlands, then maybe I got a shot with Luis Sasa. Maybe I can get Luis Sasa to play for Albania instead of Italy. I'm just a guy who can only dream here at this point.
We'll see how that one plays out. In sourcing Loeb to...
but trust me, they don't want to see Germans in those. Yeah, they don't want to see an absolute machine. That's what he's saying. He's saying they don't want me on their rosters because I am built like a unit.
I would love to. Okay, I was like, what does Loeb mean? What does he say?
Love. He means love. I would love.
I know. I just love. It just didn't work for me. I'm sorry.
One-way trip to North Korea if you're a Juve fan. Kim Jong-un is an Inter fan.
Is that confirmed?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah, he would though. Shitty people would be interesting.
Oh man, that's really funny. But yeah, look, that's kind of the trending news Juve wise. Besides the whole Allegri out and multiple formations, that I've seen so many formations in the last couple of days, I've absolutely lost my mind. But I think that kind of wraps up the Dean Huijsen situation. Huijsen is going to channel his inner Spaniard and make that Spanish national team. I think it's good, right? Like for example, as far as for being a Juve fan, I think him going and playing in Spain, like for Spain, helps him out because the Spanish style of football is something that I think Juventus lacks quite badly. And one of the things that I saw, and this is how I segue into the Champions League, Spanish teams have a silky way of moving the ball. It's not like, for example, Argentinian have a way, Brazilians have a way, but like for me, there's one thing, and as much, and personal opinion, I was never a big fan of the Spanish super team. Spain pissed me off because they won so damn much. But the one thing that Spain knows very, very well is style and movement on the ball. They know how to break in between the lines. They know how to do the silky smooth pass, the silky smooth step overs. Like Spanish ball is just a different kind of ball, right? So if Huijsen is going there to learn and develop some of his traits, which I think we can all come to an agreement that I think Huijsen technically has that Spanish ball in him. Pause.
Yeah.
Like he has it. Like he has it, right? So that, and if he gets bigger, right, size-wise, if he bulks up and is able to get bigger, I think him coming in and eventually becoming a starter at Juve, he can revolutionize the way that Juve play out of the back.
He honestly could, especially considering how we don't really have. I mean, Gatti makes his runs and whatnot, but not really like passing out,
Exactly. So, like for example, if we look at the current setup that we have now, Sandro's not really that smooth on the ball, right? And this isn't me dogging on Sandro. Danilo's probably the only ball playing smooth center back that we have. Bremer's just a rugged physical behemoth. He is just essentially, he's the Brazilian Dave. And then you have Gatti, where, like, for example, Gatti to me, running wise, opening up space is good, but he's rough. Like he is tough. Like with the three.
He's a bricklayer. Don't forget. I mean, he plays like a bricklayer.
Like, and this is kind of funny, but like Frankie's like, can I get Gatti to become? He has a Mexican play style. Like I've played against center backs. I've played against a lot of Latino center backs, and his style is just nitty gritty, just aggressive, like crunching tackles, just on you all the time. Pause. And it just doesn't give you an inch to breathe. But like, for example, that's one of the things where he lacks is that silky, that elegance, that smoothness. Because like, I think, and kind of tying this into what Juve are right now, is like, we're kind of a gritty, rough and tough team that really lacks elegance.
You do need a certain amount of that. But I would also say that we're not completely rough and tumble either, because I mean, Yildiz, Huijsen, they're both kind of small. Like the guys are so young still that they haven't really become tough. They don't have that old man strength yet. Yeah.
Eliad says, I remember how clumsy Bonucci was when he came in from Bari. Huijsen is ahead technically, lacks physicality, but he'll hit the gym. He's only 18, right? Once he gets his, his grown-up growth spurt, like I think he's gonna be a unit. Like if Huijsen is managed properly, like if Huijsen doesn't get the Delit 2019 treatment, I think he can, if he's continuously growing under the radar, I think Huijsen can be something very, very deadly. I think he could be the new age of center backs, right? Like, because right now, are there really like a center back where you're just kind of like, he can defend well, but he can also play the ball really, really good? Like, there's not really that kind of center back right now, because it's like you either have one or the other, where you have a very good defensive center back but lacks the ball skills, and then you have a very good ball playing center back that lacks defensive skills. There's never really an essence where you have both. Those are really, really rare when you have both of those. Because, like, for example, Chiellini, one of the best Italian defenders up there. On the ball, he was atrocious on the ball. Like, very, very bad on the ball. Bonucci, great on the ball, passing and all that stuff, but the dude saved balls with his ass. Like that was,
yeah.
defensively.
And sometimes he just didn't save the balls with his ass. Sometimes he just stuck his ass out and the ball went right past.
Just let it slip through. Pause. So German Dave said Spanish football between 2008 and 2014 was the most beautiful brand of football I've ever watched, but they've had their issues with converting chances after David Villa retired and Fernando Torres slowed down. Yeah, but that was the crazy thing is like, despite them not having strikers, them throwing Fabregas as like a false nine, they were still able to do stuff. Like they were still able to threaten teams, man. It was just that midfield and the way that Spanish team moved the ball was just unreal. Unreal. Vlad says, unpopular opinion. I want Huijsen to spend another full season on loan to bulk up, learn how to defend. A defender that doesn't know how to defend is of no use. I think, like, for example, I don't think that's really an unpopular opinion.
No, I was going to say that.
I don't think it's
not unpopular at all. He's 18. Like, center backs don't really, like, mid-20s for center backs typically, right? And he's 18. So, man, like at 23, give him 5 years of development even. That guy's going to, like, come out beast. But if he can develop and play and perform and not get injured and play at that level, his trajectory it's great. I'm excited. Now. Let's just go all in on the Huijsen sauce.
Go in for the sauce. But yeah, like I don't think that's an unpopular opinion. I think Huijsen needs to get managed correctly. Yildiz needs to get managed correctly. Because, like, for example, you can pop off for 2 or 3 games, but you're going to hit that rut, right? Like, you're going to hit that rut. Like, for example, Chiesa. That's unpopular. Jay Twitter told me you should have been a starter at this. Jesus Christ.
What are you guys doing on Twitter?
Stop. Get off X. Get off X.
Unless it's just my account that you follow, so you know when the videos drop.
But yeah, it's I saw it. Like, I don't think we have them on Discord. I didn't save them on my phone or anything like that, but I was seeing so many formations. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, guys, relax. But yeah,
4-2-3-1 was, I think, the one that kind of made the news.
That one, I saw it like.
There was a lot. Yes, there was just like random people. Those were random people just be like, yeah, do this, do that. It was one of the Italian papers though that came in and was like, yeah, look at this. I think that was really what kicked it off, and then everyone else is like,
it's like, oh yeah, let me do my 10 side. I'm gonna do my 10 side. You do your 10 side, and then it's like
nobody cares.
I'm like looking at some of these lineups, and I'm like, these don't make any sense.
Yeah, they're all not great.
Like, they did not make any sense. Like, I get baffled where it's just like, guys, you got to understand how ball works. Like, it's not like FIFA where you plug and play different players and attributes. Like, oh yeah,
I am so good at fake football.
Dave's like, I'm a professional at Football Manager. I can do it. I have successfully succeeded at it. So, like, here's one that I saw, and this is a 3-4-3 with a diamond. So you have Giallo, Bremer, Gatti, and then your midfield 4 is Rabiot as your left center mid, Chucky, and then Locatelli, and then McKennie, and then Chiesa, Dusan, and Yildiz. Mm-hmm. Like, so I'll show this one. So I'll open up this one here, and I think this says it's Forza Juventus that made this one. So let's
it's like just a random.
Yeah. So this to me is concerning, and unfortunately, I don't think I can zoom out on this. Oh yes, I can. There we go. There we go.
Can you zoom in on
it? Obviously, we have tech that's covered here, so it's like whatever. But like this formation here, you have a diamond wide. So because they're like, well, shit, where do I put Locatelli? Oh, let me throw him here. So when we're looking at this, like you have Giallo, you have Bremer, you have Gatti, and then Locatelli in the hole, and then Rabiot, Chucky, and McKennie. So you've essentially exposed your entire left side, and you're relying on Giallo to cover that entire region because Chiesa doesn't track back.
A man that we've never seen play for Juventus.
Exactly. A guy that's never played. Don't get me wrong. Like his stats in that position are good pre-injury.
And Alcaraz up top, who has played a total of what, like 80 minutes?
I think. And then Yildiz as a right winger with McKennie, which McKennie will drop down and support Gatti, right? Like that kind of, I can understand that logic. But then it's like, okay, great. So you're putting Chucky and Locatelli essentially a few feet away from each other. And that just to me doesn't make sense. And then I don't understand, like this makes no sense. This physically with these players' attributes and capabilities, you're going to get bent over on the left side of the field here. Like, it just makes no sense tactically. because you're expecting Chucky and Locatelli to have the ball, and then what do you do when someone's attacking you with a counter for Rabiot? Because Rabiot likes to go in the box. With Rabiot not being there, makes no sense. So
I was trying to get the. I like this though. I'm just gonna stare at you. I was trying to get the screen bigger, but this is fine. We'll stare at you for a bit.
I guess.
No,
and then Vlad says, "Where's the captain? This is the formation for Danilo out. That's what I'm just gonna go with here."
Yeah.
So that was one of them.
Yeah, and that is a good point. Like, yes, Danilo probably transitioning out in the next couple of years, sure, but yeah, you're not just getting rid of him.
No. And then here's the next one. This is the one that Frankie sent. So this starting 11.
Like
Lineup 11. I don't know.
Sure,
it's
cool. All right.
It's a website. So we've got Rugani, Bremer, Gatti, and then you have Cambiaso, Locatelli, Caviglia, McKennie, Yildiz, Chiesa, and Vlahovic.
Okay, that one's not crazy. They're just using players we have.
They're using players that we have, but why would you play Locatelli and Caviglia together? That makes no sense. Because now,
yeah, unless you like those are two defensive midfielders, like you're going at 5 and back essentially. But no, it doesn't. It's unbalanced.
And then again, you have Cambiaso and Chiesa essentially overlapping each other, stepping on each other's toes.
Left wing back Berna is the answer to that one, Vlad.
Yes, left wing back Berna. Forever. So I don't understand the movements and patterns of these lineups because it's not cohesive. It really isn't with what you have. So then Rugani, Bremer, and Gatti. So this back three, nobody in this back three can move the ball properly. I'm sorry, Gatti is not an expert
because it's
passer.
a back five. That's what Locatelli and Caviglia do. They're the ball playing defenders.
Okay, but then you have a gap in the middle.
I know that's the problem. That's what's going on there.
Yeah, and it's just like because it's just like Vlad says, I thought this was the lineup for the next game because Danilo's injured. That's actually funny.
It could this could be one of our lineups, but this isn't like a next year. This is what we want to see.
But like Cambiaso and Chico don't step on each other's toes. Match day one, they were fire on the left, and cue the Udinese game.
Yeah, there's still some issues there. They don't make sense, and you all spent way too much brain cells on it. Dude. I know there's this common misconception out there, but you can grow those bitches back. It's all right.
You can grow those bitches back.
Yeah, it's cool. So this is what I read anyways, before it all came out. This is what I think started it all. Perhaps could be wrong because this came out like 7:47.
Can I give you one more formation?
Before, okay, you want to trash? You just want to trash things. Okay, let's.
This is hilarious. Okay, so Juventus under Thiago
with
Motta.
Thiago. Okay, who's this from? Dude, do you know who this from?
I don't know.
Just my lineup. At least name it before you put it on the internet.
Frankie gave it to me. What do you want me to do?
Go with the guy. It just says my lineup. The guy that made the
lineup.
Could have done better.
So you've got Locatelli, Yildiz, and Fagioli is your midfield three, and then you have Sule, Chiesa, and Dusan Vlahovic, and Cauliflower. I'm just calling him Cauliflower. If Cauliflower, Bremer, Huijsen, and Cambiaso as your back four.
It's not horrible.
It's not horrible, but your midfield's going to get completely bodied, and that's not even how Motta plays.
That's more of an Allegri lineup, to be honest, than a Motta.
In a sense, but like for example, you're playing Yildiz wouldn't make sense for this. Like he doesn't make sense in the position that he's in.
No, so they're likely assuming he's playing high up and then just letting again Locatelli and Fagioli just being defensive pivots and unbalanced the midfield. It's the same as the last one, more or less.
Yeah, so this makes no sense in theory because, like for example, here where Yildiz is you want to have like a Koop Myers, like a Pjanic in his prime, or a Pirlo in that position, and it's a reverse triangle where you have your 2 8s. Apparently Fagioli is an 8 and Locatelli is an 8. So you'd have your 2 8s that are around your ball playing 6. So, or ball playing 6. What the hell am I saying? Ball playing 5. And then Sule is the only inverting winger that is showing inverting capabilities because with all due respect to Chiesa's not doing it. And then also the question is when you're looking at a Thiago Motta squad, does Dusan have the traits of a Thiago Motta team?
We did talk about this.
We talked about this.
Yeah, that he's not necessarily a Motta. Well, because and that's interesting. I do question that though. Like, would Motta be able to take somebody like Vlahovic though, and like make those adjustments?
Dusan, for him to be a proper fit in a Motta system, Dusan's priority is not goals; it's facilitating play to the wingers. Because, like, for example, you look at Orsolini right now at Bologna. Everyone's like, oh my god, this guy's popping off, right? Because in theory, it's Xerxes that's essentially filling out the field, that's finding him able to win the ball, be aggressive, lay the ball. Is ironically, right? It's kind of like what German Dave is saying. Ironically, Lukaku, a Xerxes, a player.
Oh, for sure. But that's not what I'm asking, though.
Yeah,
I'm asking, like, what if Mota just changed? Like, is Mota capable of changing the script?
It depends. If he can convince Dusan to play like that and develop those traits, yes. The other thing Mota would have to work on is he would have to tell Chiesa, man, like, bro, you got to take 1 or 2 touches and shoot.
Whoever the fuck we get needs to tell him that.
Well,
assuming we're getting somebody new like that, again, assumptions here.
You know the Pirlo when Pirlo yelled at Chiesa, right? Because I remember that one time. I think it was on the
if Pirlo yells, like, you fucked up.
Yeah, I'll find the clip if you want to go into what you were talking about.
Okay, so this is from Tutto Sport. This is what I saw early. It was yesterday morning, right? When this all kind of came down. So Charlie Alcaraz could soon lead Juventus to a turning point. In fact, the characteristics of the Argentine might suggest to Max Allegri other variations than the 4-3-3. The 4-2-3-1 with the player behind Vlahovic, with Chiesa or Yildiz, and one between McKennie and Cambiasso and Kostic on the sides. The 3-4-3 is also possible. This formation has never been used by the Lebanese during his last years in Bianconeri. Yeah, he touched the 3-4-3 a little bit.
In training, yeah. I think we have the lineup on Discord, but I found the clip.
I think he preseasoned a 3-4-3 or even transitioned halfway through a game last year. I think he has shown it a little bit, yeah. But all right.
So this is Mr. Futbolista 3166. So this is a clip. I think this is from All or Nothing that he pulled this from. But so Pirlo is saying you can't lose the matchups to Fede, and I think this was the Italian Cup final. Start playing. You didn't play. You didn't have the guts to challenge a defender. No fear, one-on-one.
That's not really yelling at him. That's just calling.
Well, I mean, Pirlo doesn't yell, but you're seeing him. He's animated.
Well, that's what I thought. I thought like Pirlo was yelling. Like, okay, I'm gonna see.
Pass the defender and go. In these games, you need the balls. Show me some balls. Pause. So, like, that's
I see that clip is edited like every other
one. Yeah.
Sorry, I had to say it.
Fair enough. But like, it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, this has been a recurring issue. It's always been an issue with them. I just think the only issue, right? Like, it's just Pirlo called him out on that shit. I don't know if Allegri's called him out on it. I don't know if he's taking it seriously or not, but it's, Mota or whoever, if Allegri does leave, they have to, if they're going to try to work with Chiesa, because apparently Chiesa's biggest indicator is whether or not Allegri stays or if it's a 4-3-3 or a 3-5 these nuts. It's going to be dependent on that, or it's just like the next coach, or if it is Allegri, they need to find a way to get through Chiesa, man. Because like, I'm just getting really, it's just this passive play. He needs to not be passive. Like, go for it. Show
some balls.
Show some balls.
It's not incorrect. Let's get some balls on that pitch. Pitching some balls. All right. So we trashed. Was that everyone's that we had to trash? I'm sure there was more.
I think that was pretty much it, right?
No, I'm just there was more out in the ether. Those are just the ones we collected. It was just fun to kind of tear some things apart for a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. German Dave says, I didn't forget about Italiano, but he still didn't prove to me yet that he can carry a bug team, a big team. I'm just messing with
Okay, so Vlad said poor Italiano, every hipster forgot about him, and Dave's defending himself, saying I didn't forget about him, basically admitting that he's a hipster.
I like to spell with 1 goal wins, but Fiorentina fell off and had a gameless, I think it's a 3-game win streak or winless streak. Yeah, well, the issue was like, and I think I said it right, where it's like Fiorentina apparently can't score more than 1 goal a game. Like, that was one of the issues that they had.
So they're like us, but worse.
They're like us, but on a budget.
Wish.com Juventus.
So Rocco Camiso built the very thing he hated.
Yeah, exactly. We took all their good players, so we just made a shittier version of us.
He's like, you know what? I bet you I could do the same results with a shittier team.
Yeah.
I know, Dave. We love you.
Proud hipster. Do you drink IPA? You're German. I don't think you would.
No, I don't think he does.
Drink good German beer.
You know, I was
IPA
gonna
is
say
like
it's
some weird.
We should have like an IPA counter on every stream every time Dave mentions IPA.
Well, I'm back to my Smittix, so I'm happy.
Oh, are you?
Oh,
Nice.
Man. Irish Reds, fuck yeah. And Irish Redheads too, like fuck yeah. Just in general, anything that's Irish and red, I'm down.
Fuck me. Really?
Yeah. Oh, no more. Give me a beer. Oh man,
that was perfect. That was actually perfect for the occasion. So, let's talk some Champions League, right? A couple of results that came in the past couple of days. Unfortunately, really, it was unfortunate. Fortunately for Serie A, unfortunately for Juventino. I think that's the best way to phrase it.
And Dave's the first German I've met that doesn't drink.
He's like, I like Ramdo.
This is weird. This is like how my wife doesn't like maple syrup. It's like, are you even Canadian? The fuck's wrong with you?
Lots of things. Elliot says, I'm a Guinness person. Don't know why.
Who isn't? If you like beer, you like Guinness. If you don't like Guinness and you're a beer person, you're not a beer person. That's basically how that works.
Yeah. Yeah. Frankie coming in saying, I was going to say something else that's Irish's beer. God damn it, Frankie.
Just go there. Why? Like, we're not.
That's
it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, guys.
Vlad says, I can see why people like Motas Italianos, De Serbis Paladinos of this world, but my question is, with all of these, can they manage a big club like Juve? I know Allegri and Conte can. The other
and that's the question.
That is the question, right?
The question is, we don't know. Nobody knows, but they're going to yell and scream and say that's the next coming of Christ anyway.
I really, like, for me, it's like, I can come to reason with folks if they'll tell me that, look, we need a new coach, but we also need to really, really revamp the squad. Like, if someone's sitting here telling me that the coach is the only solution, I just look at that argument. I'm like, dude, you got to.
Reno, you still here? Is Reno here?
Oh, come on, Dave. No, because here's the thing. Atletico Madrid versus Inter. I watched that game. Inter should have won 4-0. They just decided not to bring their shoes. The way that Inter cut through that Atletico defense, holy fuck. Like, they sliced through them.
And I didn't get to watch it yet, but if they can slice through an Atleti defense, then oh man, I don't want to hear that.
Quick counters, 1-2 passing, like Swiss cheese. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, Simeone's going to terror ball the hell out of them. Simeone came in with the same game plan as us. They didn't have a single shot on target for like a good chunk of that match. But like at the same time, though,
we showed him it doesn't work. Why would he try it again?
So with like, for example, with Atletico, even with Atletico countering, like, they didn't get the final ball, but the way that they went through and moved the ball, I was sitting there and I'm like, holy fuck, these two teams are way beyond us. I was sitting there thinking about it and I'm like, being honest with myself. I'm like, the way that Atletico and Inter were moving the ball between each other, I was like, holy hell.
Well, we know that's our biggest issue really right now is how we move the ball, especially in midfields. It's
slow. And like, for example, when I watched Napoli and Barcelona today, I'm like, this is the level that Juve's at. Like I was, and you know, people, you can get pissed at me. It's fine. But like, I was watching that game and I'm like, holy hell, I think, because like right now you've got your S tier and then you've got your, you know, A+ and your A tier. Barcelona, Napoli, that was like A tier footy. Same thing on the same realms around Lazio and Bayern Munich. Like, I hate.
You can't talk about Barca because I just want to go into Barca now.
We can. I'm setting it up. I'm setting it up for the transition to it. But like, it's just the way that Inter and Atletico were in transition. I was just like, fuck, man. Because it's like, if we were in there this season, we would have gotten spanked if we played an Atletico Madrid. If we were in, and I still think, even if we are in next season, for me, my expectation is make an attempt to get out of the group stages in the Champions League next year with the
that's
current
fair.
roster.
That's fair. Yes,
With
just try to get out of
second place of the group, not winning it. And people can get mad at me and be like, "You're lowering the standard of Juventus. This is unbelievable." Like,
no, we're not lowering the standard.
guys,
That is just where they're placing.
we need to
currently.
take our heads out of our pretentious asses at this point, right? We're not that level. We can't.
We got the young talent. So
We've got
We've
got we've got the young talent. But like when I'm seeing, like if I'm reading or if I'm listening and I hear people say, "We're Juventus, we should automatically qualify for the group stage and win the group and go to the quarterfinals of the Champions League
these
next
are like
season."
22-year-olds that have never seen Juve.
I'm like sitting here, I'm like, dog,
whatever. It's
you've got
just gotta
teams.
grow up. Just let them live a little.
I know, I understand that.
These are the same people that run their mouth and never got beat up as a kid. So they just need to get beat up. They'll figure it out.
Fair enough, but
if they don't get beat up, they'll be an asshole for the rest of their life.
That was the most Canadian answer ever. You run your mouth, you get yourself beat up in the back. It's no biggie.
That's it, man. You dumb, you get taken out. That's it.
When you find out. Because you look at like teams that are entering into the Champions League, right? Or it's just like you have Newcastle came in, didn't really do that hot. Like teams that are going in after an absence or a team that's coming after a rebuild that's making it back into the UCL, there's no way in hell you're going to come in your first year and kick the ground running. Inter, we were laughing at Inter the first 3 seasons they were in the Champions League. Group stage exits every single time, except last season where they put it together and went all the way. The Champions League, like for example, when you go into the Champions League next season, which we will, right now your expectation is, for me personally, second place, get into the round of 16, and then hope that you get one of the boomer groups, I like to call them, where you have like a group that has like you have a group that has like Copenhagen, Dortmund, or something like that, where you can potentially make it into the quarterfinals. It's the honest truth. So let's get to your comments here.
And so I heard something. I got this German Bayern fan that I work with. I didn't have time to stop and talk, but I think he said Bayern coach is gone at the end of the season.
Yeah,
I don't know
Tuchel is stepping down at the end of the season. That's
okay, so that is it. Yeah, it was just in past. I'm like, really?
Tuchel's like he's like, nah, this ain't it. I'm out. Vlad says Inter might be the most dangerous team in transition in Europe. They should have beaten 4-0 of Lautaro and Tapin. Notovic had an off game. Lautaro, I can't believe Lautaro fucked up that one-on-one at the end.
Again,
that was nuts.
I didn't see it, but Arnautovic and Lautaro aren't always they're inconsistent, I guess, right? They're not always going to be tapping. And Arnautovic hasn't really played a whole lot.
Yeah. Elliot says, Dash, I was saying the same. I was happy that we're not in this UCL. We would have been slapped by this Atleti at the moment. Yeah. And Atleti play more terror ball than us, and I think Atletico would have beat us easily. I think so. Okay,
so you know how we almost got Arnautovic as well? Judging how he's been with Inter, as we said, it's been doing great. And then Arnautovic goes on and he's just like, yeah.
I think he would be I think he would have the same contribution level as Milik.
He's a Milik, yeah.
I think that's what he is. I think he's just a lucrative bench option. That's like, not completely out of it, but like not the greatest. Bones says, yeah, people don't understand that to build, you got to sacrifice some W's. Elliot says, David, I remember you talking about it for sure. There's much deeper than what's publicly visible.
Yeah, going back to that.
Up to this one here.
Sorry.
Yeah, Bayern is a mix of coach and player problems. Players have become entitled, got too much power at the club, and after all the titles, and Tuchel lost the locker room because he throws players under the bus.
Yeah, don't throw people under the bus. Keep your fucking mouth shut. Do your own thing.
Yeah.
Life lessons.
Frankie says, wow, stop targeting us 22-year-olds. For some of us are realistic and intelligent. Vlad says Napoli's draw just make a bigger gap between them and us for the Club World Cup. I can post a graph if you want. Yeah, bigger gap in our favorite, in our favor, or is it more on their favor? Frankie says, so Dash wants us to get the draw that Man City gets every year. That's honestly, like, to be honest with you guys, like, that's really kind of it, right? Like, if you're lucky to get like a Club Brugge, and I'm not knocking Club Brugge or any of those, like Leipzig or whatever, I don't know, some, like, obviously not one of your best teams, right? Like a Copenhagen, like I call them the elephant qualifying teams, or they're just kind of like, how the F did they get there? So it's just like, that's really where Juve will be. Like they'll be able to, if they get into the round of 16 and they get a favorable draw, they'll make the quarterfinals. That is kind of where, you hope everything goes right and that's it. And then people will still say there and say Malta needs to get fired because he didn't win the Champions League his first season. But
These people are impossible.
it is, right? Like I think we need to look at it. And I get really irritated that people are like, you've reduced the standard. It's just like, guys, man, look what's in front of you. You've only got a sporting director for 6 months.
They have people have no long-term outlook at all. You have to understand that if they're on Twitter and they're actually commenting, being active on Twitter, they probably have some version of ADHD. Not saying that they were born with it, like and no, and then like it's a problem. I understand it's a thing, but like there's this induced ADHD that people have these days because things are just getting thrown at them. So like I just by mistake unlinked Twitter yesterday on my phone, and I was about to put it back on. I was like, no, fuck it. And today I didn't have any dumbass shit pop up on my phone, and I was like, huh, okay then. You're done. You're done.
You're done. Yeah. And then KB says you'll be out of the CL. I even forgot that competition existed. That's funny. He's like, hey man, they're not playing. I'm not watching. And then we've got David where he says Anatovic he's a high energy player, most effective for 30-minute spells. You won't get a lot of production if you give him a full.
But you can say that about Milik.
That's kind of what you want
for
with
30-ish minutes. Yeah, they're similar profile. I'm not saying it's bad or good, but it's what you would kind of expect for that cost,
Yeah.
I think even Milik, what did Arnautovic go for? Because I know Milik was a good deal.
I think Arnautovic was like 7-8 million. I don't.
Probably.
I can't quote on it, right? Like I don't know for sure because I didn't really look into it. But it's not anything difficult. I'm sure we could Google it. All right. So LJJ says Juve players aren't bad for the age they are. That's also another fair assessment, right? Because you have to look at it realistically. Like the age that you have them and the capabilities. Yeah, there's some players that should be doing better, but then there's also, toddlers.
8 mil.
So we got Milik cheaper. 3 technically, 3 plus bonuses.
I'm looking it up again.
Yeah. German David says it's the TikTok generation. They got the intention spell of 45 seconds. Yes, it is. Frankie says, I think realistically, if we got third in the group and ended up in the Europa, it would be a decent opportunity for European experience. That's also not bad as well. Because, like, for example, Conte got that too, even though Conte's team was better, arguably. Like, for example, I don't mind this team making a run in the Europa League. And then people are going to sit here and say, oh, you lowered the standards. Well, great. If they win the Europa League trophy, no one's going to make that argument again. The only time they would make that argument is if Allegri was behind the team that won it. Because they won't give it to him.
And for reference, the transfer for Milik was 7.3. So it was actually 700,000 cheaper.
So roughly about the same for essentially the same profile in a sense, right?
Yeah. Decent business anyways.
Like, could you imagine how funny would that be next season that Allegri stays, Juve go into Europa League because they finished third in the group and they won the whole damn thing. Like if it was Thiago Motta, if it was Italiano, if it was De Zerbi, if it was any other coach, people would say, hey, look at this, good on this guy, blah, blah, blah. It took us and won our first European trophy. And then if it's Allegri, he finished third in the group. And it's like, okay, but you had Real Madrid and Man City in your group. He still finished third in the group. And it's just like, oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, people are completely unreasonable. You know what else is also completely unreasonable? Barcelona's finances.
Speaking of that, I have the article pulled up.
Perfect. Let's do it.
So this was brought to us by Sal, and we're going to read it and react with you here. So more money woes for Barcelona, where apparently they have a spot. Frankie sent us that meme, the Spotify meme, where he was like, hey, you too, if you donate $75, can buy Crava for Barcelona.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
All right. So more money woes for Barcelona as La Liga slashes the spending limit. So Barcelona's annual spending limit has been cut by 66 million euros, $71 million from 270 to 204.
204 is still A fair
That's like
amount.
That's like 3 times more than ours. So Real Madrid maintain the highest cap in the Spanish league at 727. Atletico Madrid are higher than Barca. What the hell? That's their salary cap?
Yeah, it's absolutely.
What the hell? That's so damn high.
And it's so off. That like, look, it's more than double. It's well more than double the number 2.
That's wild. After previously cut 400 million by September, latest reveal the scales are changing as facing Barcelona as they try to become competitive in the transfer market once again. Sources, and David says here, like, they're casually signing 150 million signing. Like, that's insane, man. Fuck. There's nothing that can touch those guys at this point. It's insane. As a result, the Catalan club are subject to financial restrictions. They're only allowed to spend a percentage on what they save on salaries or raise in transfer fees, with the percentage varying on how big the savings is for the 23-24. And to encourage spending, given the problems faced by many Spanish clubs in the transfer market, clubs over their spending limit can spend 50% of any savings they make and 60% of the savings made on a departing player's accounts for more than 5% of their spending limit. So it's kind of like they're doing mortgages on purchasing players and spending. If there's no correction before the summer, it could pose Barcelona with a problem when it comes to registering players. Big example, Lionel Messi. Martinez and Roque are the only registered players until the summer, for example, and making new signings. Barcelona's latest reduction is related to a range of factors due to the continued decrease effect of, what is that, placentas? Planasa? Plansas.
Plancas. I don't know what that means. Frankie, what are we talking?
Assets sold off by the club in 2022 to improve short-term finances, which increased their limit as high as 656 at the start of the 22-23 campaign. However, the more money from one of those asset sales, Barcelona Studios, which has since been rebranded as Barca Vision, was never paid in full and led to the club reselling it last summer to Libero. And then they still haven't gotten the money for it yet. That is nuts.
Oh my God.
The club revenue for the current season has also been hit by a temporary move to the Olympic Stadium in the city is worked. Oh, they're rebuilding. They're not at the camp, the new camp, right? They're rebuilding their. So here's Barcelona logic right here. We're broke, but let's build a new stadium. We'll renovate the new camp. But we're still broke.
You did not hear Palinka. Well, maybe you did, but it's not what we were trying to say.
And they keep, so levers. So it's like, what is that? Like, that's so stupid. German Dave says, but it's in them. They effing gave Lewandowski $300K a week at the age of 34.
That's fucking nuts, man.
That's dumb. And the club revenue. So President Laporta revealed that ticket sales have not matched the budget predictions. So they're under budget on ticket sales.
It's a tax month there. It's a couple months over here.
Get that tax return. Behind Madrid, whose huge limit suggests that finding room for PSG, Kylian Mbappe will not be a problem financially. Atletico, Barca, Sevilla at 155, Real Sociedad at 144 complete the top 5. Surprise package.
Sociedad. I'm surprised to hear that they have that much.
Girona remains at 52 million. So their budget's still 52.
How are they doing these days? Actually,
they're up there. They're up there on the table.
They're holding. I haven't checked.
They're holding.
2.
Yeah, they're holding 2. While Alves is the lowest cap at 31 million. The limit. Well, I mean, Girona's.
They pulled an us. They shot the bet the past 30 games.
Yeah, they did. Final league figures are for maximum accounts would spend on wages, bonuses, amortizations on payments and transfers across the season. Not how much they're necessarily spending. In addition to costs involved with the men's first team, this covers spending on all other teams, reserve teams, women's sides, basketball setups. Holy hell, they are fucked. Girona. Says it's Girona. Oops. I got to read German days. Dash, they only have 1.2 million coaches cap space, which is why they keep Xavi on the bench, even though they don't want him anymore. They can't afford to fire him.
Is it only 1.2? Because I thought you mentioned it was.
I thought it was 2.1. I guess it's 1.2 now.
1.2. You got it. Unless one of you two are backwards.
So I got it from him. I think that's where I got the numbers from.
1.2, 2.1.
I don't know. I just work here. But and Sal kind of asked this question on the Discord, so he's like, "How is there no point deduction, relegation, or UEFA suspensions?" Call him shocked. So Vlad actually gave a pretty good response here. So Vlad was, why should they get suspended? Because it's a salary cap that La Liga imposed and it's well regulated. So Barcelona didn't do any illegal presumptions under the salary cap. It's just that their salary cap got slashed because their revenue has gone down. So I think La Liga is doing this to save their teams essentially from going bankrupt or having really bad issues per se when it comes to the finances. Because, for example, could you imagine what would happen to La Liga if Barcelona declared bankruptcy?
Would they be saved? I wonder if they
don't know. I mean, I think I'm not, I'm not an expert on the rules of La Liga and whatnot, but I'm pretty sure they would get sent to third or fourth division.
See, now that's funny. I always thought it was Girona, and then he said with the J, and I know in Spanish it's silent, so Girona. I kind of went that. So it's Girona.
It's Rona.
Rona. Oh boy.
Oh boy. So it's not really for example, this isn't a breach of financial fair play because Barcelona is not spending more than they're making. So financial fair play is and I'm using Vlad and German Dave's words here on the Discord. So essentially what they're saying is, and to also agree with it, right? So it's working in a sense where it's not like us, right? Where we said we spent X amount, but reality, it wasn't really worth that amount, because what they allegedly what they got us with is they're saying that Juve said, hey, this player is worth 50 million, so we're allowed to spend 50 million. But in reality, it's falsified and that player is actually worth 30 million, but we still spent 50 million. So there's a breach of financial fair play. Financial fair play is essentially you're spending more than you're making. And you have the chart for that.
Just to go back with the Club World Cup so we don't forget. And that was Vlad. See, this is Discord, guys. This is Discord. This is where all the information is.
What's the gap?
It's 5,000. Oh, I don't know what a 5,000 is, but
I don't either.
It's 5,000.
5,000. It's over 5,000.
Yeah.
But so, and that's kind of the difference with us. For example, it's the same thing with Man City and their issues. Their issues are more so with Premier League breaches instead of UEFA breaches, because even though they got dinged by UEFA went about it incorrectly and they absolutely, messed it up per se.
It's Girona, G's? Girona? G's?
This is what Vlad is saying as far as the tweet and what it means. So because of the result, Napoli are now 5 points behind Juventus, and now they need 2 more Champions League wins to overtake them. So they have to lose this next match. If they win, they would have to win again to push us out. So if Barcelona draw or if they win, Napoli essentially is not in the Club World Cup and we have it, which is 75 million extra revenue for Juve.
So you totally missed this. This was a Balkan joke.
Jeez, Rona?
Come on, jeez. Jesus, Josh.
I was Jesus. He says Jesus.
Oh boy. Okay. It's dependent on how much starting fee they can pay, and they will get registered in that division then.
Yeah, I think he's talking about the Barcelona players.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm in the tinfoil hat thing in the Discord to see what. Well, David needs to start typing his German.
No, he gave us the English article, but I kind of wanted to do a quick touch. Yeah, he gave us this. It's below it. He just wants me to do it in a German accent.
Okay.
So this is something that Frankie sent us, where I feel like this is him just tickling people's balls, but Zinedine Zidane apparently wants a role in Juve at some point. And in other news, the sky is blue.
No, sorry, it's just I was trying to get the cookies. I was getting the article up and the fucking cookies.
The cookies.
Goddamn cookies.
The Athletic, right? That's the one you're pulling up.
What was that? Oh, fuck.
Here, I got it. Do better. Okay. The Bundesliga external investment for TV rights stake have been scrapped after fans protest. The German Football League, DFL, has announced that it will not continue with the plans to sell its stake in its media rights to the business private equity firm following supporter protests. The DFL has been proposing to sell an 8% share of its TV and marketing rights to an external investor in a 20-year agreement as part of the potential $1 billion deal. There you go. You happy, Dave? You happy, German Dave? I did it for you.
It was bad.
He's going to sit there and just be like, bro, it's totally terrible. Okay, so this received approval from the clubs in December, but have been subject to change, increasingly disrupted fan protests in the Bundesliga and the Bundesliga 2, resulting in fixtures being interrupted by the fans. The DFL said continuing with the negotiations no longer seems possible because the disputes were increasingly jeopardizing match operations, specific match schedules, and thus the integrity of the competition. All right, I think I'm going to run out of air, so I'm going to switch here before I lose my voice. It headed on to the ongoing fan protests demonstrated by the December vote from clubs in favor of the proposal, lacked broad acceptance. This brought additional legal questions given Germany's 50+1 rule. So if you guys don't know what 50+1, German Dave knows this like the back of his hand. However, 50+1 is, it states that 50% plus one share of the voting rights must be held by the club members in any Bundesliga side. So it's going to be the fans, right? So that's why, like, for example, Bayern Munich, Dortmund, and all of them, like, it's essentially the hierarchs own 51% of the club, and then 50% is owned by Thomas Tuchel speaking. It's like the Green Bay Packers in the United States. The Green Bay Packers don't have an actual owner. The owner is the fans. The fans own shares of the team, and it's a big conglomerate. So it's kind of the same thing here, but it's the 50+1 rule. So the fans essentially have voting say when it comes to stuff like this. So it says the DFL is avoiding legal disputes, returning to the orderly match operations that must be. So I don't know if this specifies it. Oh, God damn it.
You got it. You got it. See?
I got it too. I got the damn
It's
cookies.
just I've been on the Athletic more times than you, and it's
So
just
let me
right
fine. All right. Well, guess what? I will do it in German, and I'll just have to translate it.
Do it in German, and it's 6:30. So give me a couple minutes. I gotta put the cocks away.
Gotta put the cocks away.
They're not cocks; they're females. The joke's bad. But
all right, let me see if I can translate this because that sucks. All right.
Sorry, just before I leave, it would take some time, but you can go into Google Docs and translate it that way.
No, there's like I have a translate extension on here.
You know what? We'll move on. Find a good topic you can go on while I.
It's already done. Did it already?
Yeah, but that Dave can he can fill in a bit more if he feels like
I already got it.
We missed something. If we missed something, Dave, just let us know.
German Dave will fill in for it.
Yeah. Okay, I'll be back.
All right. So the meeting said the majority of the clubs would prefer DFL to distance itself from the issue here. Therefore, success says from breaking off the process. There's no need to vote anymore. Process is over. Potential investors CVC explained why they would not comment on the failed deal for the top of the DFL. More controversy. So I'll read some of the comments here. And Antonio, can you guys see this for the next season under Mota 4231? Carnesecchi, Cauliflower, Bremer, Huijsen, Cambiaso, Locatelli, Fagioli, Chiesa, Yildiz, Sule, Orsolini, or Dusan. Ooh, you want to buy Orsolini? Interesting. So, a couple of things, right? Before we kind of get back into the German article here, it's difficult because you need a couple of moving parts, right? So, Locatelli and Fagioli, those for sure are going to be there. Yildiz, Sule, and Orsolini. I would probably say Sule over Orsolini with what we have. The main question that you have if you have Thiago Motta as your coach, it's going to be whether or not Dusan can play in a Motta system. Motta strikers are essentially selfless strikers in a sense where goal scoring isn't their top priority. Their top priority is going to be facilitating play. Generally, that's what comes out of those. So Dusan's going to have to hold the ball, facilitate it to Chiesa and to Sule with them to break in from the wings to take inverted shots and dribbles. That's really the main thing with a Motta system. Motta's system, wingers thrive in. So Motta, in theory, would be Chiesa and Sule's best friend. But the question is at the detriment of Dusan, what is that equation going to be, right? Because Motta has two things he needs to figure out if Motta is the next coach of Juventus. What does Dusan do, and where does Dusan play for next season, if he's going to be on this roster or not? And can I get Chiesa to be Chiesa again? Those are his two big problems that he needs to solve. Because, like, for example, with all, like, let's be honest here. If Xerxes has that 30 million release clause, I think that's one of the things that Motta tells Juve, where it's like, hey, man, you want me, you're bringing this guy in. And I would not be shocked if Juve try to make a move and bring in Xerxes. So that's going to be really the main thing that I have about this. Is the other question is, like, for example, do you bench Danilo for Huijsen? Because I think there's not enough information out on Huijsen right now to whether or not he's a bona fide starter for this formation. So you want to also ask that question, like, for example, what happens to some of your center backs if you switch into a back four, right? So, and the other thing is, are you able to purchase Calafiore and Carnesecchi, right? Even though, like, Juve want Koop Miners and Carnesecchi in a package deal for 100 million. So that's just going to be one of the things that you got to think about, and I hope that answers your question. So going into what German Dave is saying, so the shithouse background is that DFL negotiated a deal behind someone's back and put it to a vote. The clubs had a short amount of time to react and talk to club members and the boards. One club had over 96 sent a delegate to vote against the investment deal, and reportedly he went against the will of the club members and the board and voted for it, and the other one had a missing vote. He gave a 2/3 majority, since that vote is pro-investors that came with protests because the fans feel betrayed and the deal negotiated behind their back. And then B, the deal being a bad deal because it gives you only $1 billion for 20 years of contract, which gets shared unequally to the clubs, and the clubs can only spend 1/10 of that for transfers. So essentially, it's kind of what Paramount does with Serie A. And a lot of clubs are pissed off about it. And it's against the 50+1 rule because he voted it against the will of the club. Because with the whole 50+1, it's 50-50 split between the club board, the fans, and then the +1 goes, essentially the board has the tiebreaker for stuff. So quite the mess over there. And obviously it's only a matter of time before, something like this happens in Serie A. It wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, this pretty much, because I could just read this word for word and bore the hell out of you guys, but that's in general kind of the short synopsis of what was going on in Germany there. Vlad asked this question: am I the only one that has a problem with an ex-Inter player being a coach at Juve? So let me ask you guys in the chat, do you guys have an issue with Motta being, an Interisti that won the triplete with Inter? Like, are you guys okay with him being a coach of your roster? Like, is that something that bothers you? I know he was asked this, but his response was more so on the lines of, I really don't care. He says, I'm just here to coach. I'm here to get my team ready to go and do what I need to do. Nothing more, nothing less. So let me project that to you guys as well. Do you guys have any questions? Like, does it bother you? Does it perplex you that he's, people are looking at him? Like, is there a concern with it? And German Dave follows up and says, now, with the protest won and the deal got nixed, and the Bundesliga clubs would rather keep the soul of the club within the league than selling out to TV deals to try to compete with the Premier League. So that's that. And I asked a question for folks: are they okay with Motta being a former Inter player being the next coach of Juve? And Frankie says, as long as he brings some Motta with him. Is that leaves or fish? I don't know what that image is. It's so weird.
It's looks like a football and a hockey puck. I don't know. It's leaves. No, it's leaves.
Leaves Xerxes? Like, I don't know.
As long as he brings some Motta leaves with him. Who sounds real bad in Boomer right now?
That's clearly. Oh, he says they're leaves, so weed.
So bring some Motta weed with him. What is Motta? Is Motta on weed?
Motta is a word for.
Oh wow! I didn't know. Is that Spanish? Or is that like a street word? I've never heard this before. What can I say?
So I think we'll end the final news article on this. So apparently there's been a list of 3 things. So assessing the Juventus panic meter and 3 things to talk about. Three main things. We'll see what you feel about it. So number 1, first thing, start Charlie in the midfield. The trio of Adrian Rabiot, Manuel Locatelli, and Weston McKennie was never good enough. We knew that. In a 3-5-2, however, it seemed at times just enough patchwork combination to get the job done. This no longer seems to be the case. Charlie needs to start the next game. Is he the midfield savior? Probably not. But in his presence, going to palpably move the needle for whatever combination of players are beside him. I cannot read today. No idea. But if I know this, if you get your midfield to run out against park against the bus teams repeatedly, you make the change. Juve did not go to England to pay Southampton several million tokens just for a warm body in training. What do you think?
Who's the source?
The guy that wrote it is Hunter Sharpless.
Who the fuck is?
Oh,
Hunter
it's
Sharpless.
It's
That
black
can't be a
and
real name.
it's black and white and all over.
Ugh.
But I know you hate them, but I kind of want to assess these points. Like it is its info show. So
sure. No, okay, let's do it.
So that's the one thing. So Charlie, they're saying one of the things to beat the rut is Charlie.
Sure. I have nothing against putting Charlie in, but we do have to realize that he's not a world beater. He is still quite young. It's not like we got a prime Pogba back into the team that's healthy and ready to go, right? And you're like, yeah, fuck us. No, you got to ease him in. And he got, I know it was stupid, got like 4 minutes the first game, and he gets 10 minutes, then he gets 35 minutes. Now, yeah, maybe the next step is to get a start, but you have to trust the process. Like you don't just throw the guy in. He doesn't know the system yet. He knows how to play football, but he doesn't know how to play football with the rest of the team. So you have to give him a month or so, whatever it may be, right? So that's just how I feel about it. It's fine. I think Allegri's actually handled it fairly. I would like to have seen him get more than 4 minutes the first time. That was a little ridiculous. That gives you nothing. That gives you nothing.
That was just petty.
Yeah,
was petty, right?
But generally speaking, he's kind of taking the right approach, I feel.
Yeah. Frankie says, my bad. I'm like a decade younger than everyone, 2 decades younger than some of you. And
not quite, Frank. Jesus Christ.
Gosh. German Dave says, I'm only 29 and didn't understand shit. Vlad says, I don't fix what's not broken. We don't need to change much. Just get back on track mentally.
That's a lot of it, yeah.
So the second point that they brought up that they wanted to talk about here is make the switch to a 4-3-3 for a full game. The 3-5-2 has brought us this far, but sometimes you need to get off and make a connection. Mm-hmm. Switch vehicles, get to your final destination. Now that might be the time, or at least selectively I've suggested in several of my recent pieces that Allegri needs to the tinkering up as we look to the next year, especially against so-called weaker teams. Now the urgency is much more present and has less to do with figuring out how to get back to winning ways. So against Frosinone, line the players up without fear. Cambiaso, Rugani, Bremer, McKennie, Rabiot, Locatelli, Chucky, Yildiz, Vlahovic, and Chiesa. Hell, move Chiesa to the right wing alone will make the difference. We saw the Italian connect with Chucky on some nice combinations for a short amount of time. Maybe the Slack can produce some magic if paired like this. The 4-3-3 can easily shift back to a 4-4-2 in defense. Chiesa has that sort of energy to track back and put work on defense.
He has it, but will he do it?
Has he done it?
He has at some point in his life, yes.
At some point of his life.
Yeah, I mean, again, just in the middle of the season, do I agree that we need to tinker with some things and figure some things out? Sure, but I also think that's pretty bold. Just like you have to go 4-3-3, 90 minutes, no exceptions. It's like we don't even play 3-5-2 for 90 minutes.
Yeah,
like you can't just make a claim like that. I think it's a little over the top. Especially coming out like, these are my starting 11. This is how it has to say. Fucking chill out a little bit, bud.
I don't know. Like for me, it's just the issue is it doesn't matter if you line up in a 4-4-2, a 4-3-3, a 5-3-2, a 6 these nuts or whatever. Like it doesn't matter what you line up into. if your players are slow in transition, the formation doesn't matter. Your players are mentally out of it right now. Like they're imploded mentally. Like I hate to break it to people, but right now the issue isn't the formation. The issue is the confidence of these guys.
And changing formation does not help the confidence because you're like, what the fuck do I do now?
Now what do I do? I can't even do the thing that I've been doing for so damn long. Now I switch this up, and whenever
like he is still doing what he was doing 2 years ago. He's still not even doing what he's supposed to be doing right now.
There's that saying, whenever in life you get into a rut, what do? You go back to basics. You go back to you find yourself. You try to ground yourself back to the fundamentals.
How does that work?
Like
you just wrap your legs around yourself and start grinding.
Just wrap your legs, go in the fetal position, and just start rolling and crying. But you got to look at it from that perspective, where you got to take yourself back to ground zero and kind of refigure yourself out in a sense, where it's just like, Gotti's got to sit there, center himself, get himself back. Same thing with Chiesa, same thing with a lot of these players. They are mentally zapped. They are. They just need to figure, these 3 points don't, I understand the idea, and I haven't read the third one yet, but they're not mentally there right now. And I think Allegri needs to kind of kick people on the ass a little bit, because Allegri, like Carlo Ancelotti, tries to put the players in the best position to do what they can do, right? For them to have that individual spark, that individual brilliance. But that's the problem. I think these guys don't know their own capabilities, their own brilliance, in a sense, where they've forgot how to do it. LJJ says, look at Dusan and Chiesa, how frustrated they are when they get subbed. They're still in childhood time.
I understand getting frustrated because you want to keep on going, but that frustration should be followed up with some self-realization and be like, okay, maybe I was really tired. Maybe I did have a shit game.
How do I fix it?
Yeah, that kind of thing.
And German Dave says, don't forget what brought you there. Famous saying in sports. Every time, like, for example, I've had players that have asked me, and they're like, hey, man, I don't know what's going on to me. And I say, go back to the basics. Go back to the fundamentals.
Master the basics.
Well, if you master the basics, you're always going to be good no matter what, because you've got the core fundamentals. The issue, what happens is where a lot of players mentally and psychologically essentially struggle is when they start doing something or they start shifting something. Like, for example, you'll have a game, and this has happened to me too. Like, I'm not, no one's exonerated from this, but I'll have a game where just things don't go right? Like it just, your touch is terrible, your shot's terrible, your reads are terrible. And a lot of folks that don't have the experience or the life experience, what do? You adjust. Humans are incredible at adapting and adjusting. It's just human nature. Humans are terrible at preventing things from happening, but they're really damn good at adapting from it. Like, for example, condoms. No one uses them, right? It's kind of how it is. It's a preparatory tool. We don't use it.
Well,
you're good at it.
Need to have a reason to use it. To use it, you don't just jerk off with one on, do you?
Isn't that what socks are for? No, but when you think about it, right? Like, humans are terrible at prevention, because when you go into that, when you get rocked, when you get punched in the face, you essentially sit there and you play defensive. You're like, shit, how do I not get rocked in the face? So you kind of go into that, like, not to lose mentality. And the same thing happens in sports, where you make a poor play, you make a poor pass, you do something like that, you go into a defensive shell. You kind of get a little bit afraid to be curious. You get a little bit nervous to go outside your comfort zone. Like, for example, the best example is Sassuolo, right? Where we were being adventurous, we're being curious. We got popped in the mouth and the team went in the shell. Like, they freaked out, and they played not to lose, because the biggest life lesson is, if you play not to lose, you always lose, because you can only maintain it for a certain matter of time.
Frankie, it sounds like doing the dirty in Milwaukee, people always lose. You might need to find an out-of-state girlfriend. Go long distance, man. They say it doesn't work, but you can make it work.
I love how, like, it's funny, because, like, he's like, I live in Milwaukee, and we used to have one of the most. That's like every city at this point right now, right? Like, everybody's just borking it now. Because it's like the
Were they
same
not
thing.
always? Like, did people stop at one point?
I think now it's just becoming so common practice. It's become so transactional. We're like, it's just like,
with like all the apps and things.
well, with the apps and just kind of like, and the thing that I've noticed, like a lot of people are really afraid to really like bond and connect with people. It's just kind of like, hey, see you next week. See you next week. like that's kind of pretty much how it is. And it's just, you know, it's kind of sad, but it is what it is. Vlad says everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Mike Tyson, 100%. You can be the best guy, but you get popped in the mouth. It's you get to find how someone really reacts is when you catch them off guard or when you pop them in the face.
I saw how my friend reacts when they see Mike Tyson. We were at the airport in Vegas. He was there and he was like, "Oh my god, it's Mike Tyson." He's like,
you keep talking that smack, I'm gonna pop you in the mouth. I'm gonna make you love me. German Dave says the problem is we lost focus from game to game. Our players started thinking ahead to the Scudetto in the moment you lose points against this Inter, you know it's over. And they are confronted with it, and that destroyed their psyche. It did, right? Because, like, for example, remember the one thing that people would always talk about when they would make fun of Napoli, which was the night in Florence, the hotel in the 17-18 season, where they essentially fumbled the Scudetto after beating Juve in the Allianz. I think, in a sense, we've almost kind of, you know, went full circle where Juve had that fumble prior to Empoli, where we believe in it, we're gonna do it, we're gonna get it, and then the Empoli game happened, and then the Inter game happened, and then, you know, they just haven't been able to find themselves.
So Vlad's saying Tuchel played not to lose against City in the 21 UCL final and won. I don't think Tuchel won so much that
Man City lost.
Yeah, Guardiola psyched himself out again.
That was the issue with Guardiola, right? Like, and he almost did it to Inter too. Like, yeah, I think he just got lucky.
I was hoping that.
Like, I think Guardiola. God, could you imagine if they won another UCL title?
No, I know it would be bad. It both, you know, every situation was bad with that final.
You would never, you would never.
No, I know.
Never hear the end
of it.
I take
it back. I hate Man City less
because Guardiola's always had that issue. Guardiola's always overthought games, played not to lose, and then what happened? He lost. Like, for example, the biggest example is that Real Madrid game the year before. Like, he was up, played not to lose. Real Madrid's like, all right, cool, we're gonna do this, and they turned it around and won. So look, there's these guys, like, right now, people doing this stupid Allegri out, this out, blah blah blah. You got to give these guys some space to breathe.
You only need $40. That's it. $40. Allegri out.
You know, speaking of some shenanigans, so our friend Goose was actually talking with Hans Nicolucci.
Yeah, I found that.
That was funny.
Yeah,
I thought it was funny.
I'm surprised that he would actually respond to it.
Hans and Goose had a conversation. Like, Goose was messing with Hans because Hans posted a happy birthday for Cambiaso, and Hans was like, "Come on, man, we need you to be training more instead of going to concerts." And then so Hans, which was funny, what Hans did was Hans gave him the date of the picture and said, "Bro, I'm just wishing my friend happy birthday. Chill."
Yeah, like, fuck off,
Goose is like, "Bro, I'm just totally messing with you. I didn't expect you to respond." And then Hans responds with laughing emojis. Yeah, he understood English, which I thought was crazy too.
Yeah, I get it. That is a good point. Yeah,
but that was actually really funny because apparently Goose was like, "Yeah, I was messing with Yildiz," and Yildiz responded to, and I'm like, "Dude, you're just trolling all these guys." He's like, "Yeah." Jeez. I'm like, "Hey, it's a funny moment. It's a comedic moment." Vlad says, thankfully City had Rodri, who might have cheated when it comes to last year's Ballon d'Or. All right, I didn't go over the third point.
No. I mean,
I'm gonna piss you off one more time.
Okay.
All right, so the third point: start pressing higher up the pitch. There's a side scale of what it means to press, and right now, Juve represent one end of that spectrum, while Jurgen Klopp represents the other. And I want this to be clear: I am not asking Juve to be Liverpool. I am not suggesting Juventus should not show respect to every opponent. With the relegation battlers, I'm simply suggesting that pressuring the opposition a little higher up the pitch might, in fact, be a more sustainable way to defend than letting Verona carry the ball into the final third. And
wasn't the problem that we
overpressed?
We couldn't
pass through.
It was the passing. Yeah, we couldn't pass, and then it was just disjointed. It wasn't the pressing that was the problem.
Here's the problem when you press like that. When you do a high press, you leave spaces in behind. Relegation sides thrive on that kind of play style.
Yeah, that's exactly what you don't want to do against them.
Yeah, that's
Like
what
the strategy was good. The players were not, I think. Like more or less is kind of how that went down.
Because here's the issue. If you're going to press, you need players that can cover the earth as far as field.
So you have McKennie.
You would need 3 McKennies to effectively do that kind of press. You want to know why? Because let's be honest with you. Dusan, is he good for pressing? Is Chiesa good for pressing? Is Yildiz good for pressing? Even Rabiot. Like the only players that could effectively sustain a press is Locatelli and McKennie. So when you do a high press and you are not able to contain the press, or as Goose would say, our loose press, you open up space behind your fullbacks. If you look at your fullbacks, we're not known for having pacey fullbacks. Guess who your left fullback is? 32-year-old Kostic, 33-year-old Kostic, old man Kostic. And guess who's next to him? Danilo, which is also an older guy. And Rugani. Rugani's not known for pace. So when you look at it and you're able to slot it through a team like Salernitana, Verona, Bologna, all counterattacking teams look at that and they say, I am about to through ball this shit out of this back line. That's kind of what happens when you do a high press. They
were trying to anyways. You see those teams go over the top and just try to long ball it and get past the defense. But because their defense is actually where they're supposed to be, they stop it most of the time.
You need speed to maintain that. And David says it perfectly. Look, he's writing a paper on Jürgen Klopp in the gegenpressing style. If we tried that so much, we would end up conceding 5 goals a game, which is true because there's only a reason why, for example, Liverpool is the only team, a Klopp team is the only team that can sustain a gegenpress for that long. They're the only team that can do that. And even then, if they play against a good counterattacking team, a team that's disciplined, that can counter properly, Klopp's teams don't tend to win those games. You have to be very careful with high presses. High presses, like, for example, with De Zerbi, if his high press is broken, his defense is gone. And with Juve, with the lack of pace, like right now, the only defender that I'm confident with pace is going to be Bremer, that has speed and strength. Gatti might whiff a tackle or two.
With some control. Like Gatti has it, but
that's the problem. He can whiff it. Like, for example, that Inter game, I've never seen a man whiff so many tackles in my life. So it's like also the squad depth too, because Klopp's squads tend to be pretty damn big because he rotates like a mother bleeper. Because he knows I can't run the same 11 doing a high press. Physically, it's physically impossible unless your guys either have bionic legs or juiced.
I say we get both. Did you hear Bill Burr's bit on doping in the Olympics?
Nope.
He's just like, fuck it. Let them all take it. It'll be hilarious. It'd be awesome. It'd be the best Olympics ever.
That'd be funny, but you just see a bunch of ridiculous physical feats after another. Yeah. That'd just be nuts. David says, yeah, you need to have a 22-player depth chart for that. We don't have that. We don't. Because, like, for example, if you look at our 22 depth chart, it's a bunch of youngsters, kids from the next gen. Liverpool, and this is because they're in 4 competitions in theory, right? So you have the Premier League, the FA Cup, the English Football League Cup, and then you have the Champions League. So, like, they have 22 players that actually are 22 players, where it's like for us, Inter doesn't even have 22 players. Like, they don't. I think their roster, their benches, I want to say 16, 17 players, something around that. I think that's where they're at. We're at what? Barely 11.
Frankie wants to make us hate ourselves a little bit more, I think, here. That's not the same.
I can read
the same
it.
Thing. I got it. I just wrong string. I got it. Max Statman. So I mean, this guy is a bit of a loose cannon. He's saying this is all Locatelli here.
Locatelli starts for Liverpool. I don't know. For City, I kind of doubt it. Inter, I doubt it. Bayern Munich, it depends on who he's starting for. Kimmich, no. I think they would run Kimmich over Loca. Does he start for Arsenal?
These are all kind of maybe.
I would say maybes.
These are all kind of maybe. Some like more maybe than others, but maybe like not as your like
The
100% every week
definite
starter.
the definite no is going to be Real Madrid. I think that is a unanimously no. Like, there's no way he starts over
Well, here
Modric or
say
Cruz.
sorry, but Rodri. He's saying they would play together. This guy's just laughing for reasons. There's Hannah.
That's actually true. Locatelli doesn't even start in Italy over Jorginho. That's actually funny.
That is actually kind of true. Which I believe he probably should, but he doesn't. I don't know. I think this is all kind of crazy, but this is what Max Statman does. This comes from Frankie, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's why does it matter though, right? I think, like, let's be honest here. Like, Locatelli, and this isn't me knocking Loca, but Loca's not even starting for Italy. Like, that's one of the biggest concerns. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on with Spalletti there.
Mom Spalletti?
Yeah, Mom Spalletti.
I was working the AI. I was really trying to get it to give me Spalletti. I definitely got some old Italian dudes eating spaghetti, but I couldn't get Spalletti eating spaghetti.
That's actually really funny. the one thing the AI can't do. We love Loca, but he can't even clean Rodri's boots. And here Bayern want a pure defender, and he is not that. And Man City, absolutely not.
So Frankie decided just to throw this in. Billionaire Peter Thiel backs doping-friendly Olympics rival. What to know about the enhanced games? Yeah. That's amazing.
The yoked out of your mind games.
That's fucking awesome. Let's do it. Why not? Let's go, guys. I'll watch it.
Yeah. Like, and just let's make this clear, right? We're not dogging Loca. We're not saying that Loca sucks. Like, that's not what we're trying to say. But I think we need to kind of take an honest assessment of the gap between, like, for example, watch the round of 16 for the Champions League, and you can look at these top teams and look at how their midfields move the ball and look at how our midfields move. So it's like, who's going to start Loca at the Euros?
Barella, Fratesi,
Jorginho. I think he runs Jorginho. I would not be shocked if Spalletti plays Jorginho.
So is Tonali allowed to play again by then? Probably. Maybe.
He might be. Who knows?
Yeah. Tonali might come back. There's some options anyways. He should. Like, I think Locatelli should. Like, even over Fratesi. Fratesi's good, but I think they're kind of close, similar.
It's tough, man. Like, I don't know why. Like, and then, like, the other question is Cambiasso going to get called up too? We'll break it down once we get closer to the Euros, but
yes, the end of March. It's about a month, a bit less, 3 weeks.
Do we have? Like, is there an international break coming up or no?
Yeah, March.
Oh, March. Okay.
Yeah, like third week of March.
Okay.
Yeah, that's your slot to do just crazy things. Do whatever we want, man.
Yeah, because right now the current midfield setup for Italy is Barella, Jorginho, and Fratesi. But then which apparently they're switching into a back five soon, or a back three.
Who knows?
So they can
who knows? Maybe
maximize. They want to maximize the Interisti's capabilities, because apparently that's the bread and butter for the national team now is Inter. God, how far we've fallen.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah, Bonaventura, Jorginho, and Barella are his starting midfield three against Macedonia. And let's look at the other reverse match against Ukraine.
We don't like talking about Macedonia.
No, we don't. No, we don't. Macadamia. All right.
I love macadamia nuts.
If we don't get Cruz next summer, which I delusionally hope we will, we should get Jorginho. Spring break. Nice. David says, I think called up, yes, because tournaments, they always take 1 to 2 players that can play multiple positions in a case. I think Cambiasso can virtually play anywhere. Pellegrini. That's right.
Pellegrini.
We forgot about him because he was hurt during the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely Pellegrini.
If you don't start a midfield three of Jorginho, Pellegrini, and Barella, I think that's not, you're asking for disaster if you're Italy.
Mm-hmm. I really like Pellegrini, the fucker.
Yeah, he's such a damn good midfielder. He's such a good 8. Like, unbelievable. He says, "Did you watch the game today? Jorginho came in and looked cannoli." I was going to say cannoli, completely
Where's
lost.
cannoli? I gotta
Rice
leave.
was
I need a
poor
cannoli.
along with the rest of the. I think it's because like I said, right? Teams that are coming into the Champions League after not being there for a while are going to struggle. Porto is a regular in the Champions League. They know how to shithouse teams. They know how to cause issues. Where Arsenal have finally come back after a while, right? Arsenal have had a pretty substantial gap of Champions League play. I mean, I think they came back last season. There was their first season back. Or no, it wasn't. It was. They went into the Europa League, I believe. And then this season they got out of the group stages to go into the it's a totally different ball game.
Guys are simping over there. One for Cruz, one for Summer Ditch, one like some old, one like some young, to each their own. We have lost the impact of shame in our society. Yeah, talking about going for the old ones, Jesus. Yeah, of course.
I mean,
well marketed. That's what it is. It's like Apple. Trash product marketed well.
Fair.
I mean, the product actually is okay. It's just
yeah. So yeah, this is Arsenal's first season back in the Champions League. They're in the Europa League last year. So there's gonna be learning. There's gonna be a learning curve. There's gonna be growing pains. Because, like, for example, Porto is a team that has been consistently playing in the Champions League for what, a decade? At some point, right? Like they've been
around.
They've been consistently being in the Champions League. Like consistently, yeah, 23-24, 22-23, 21-22, 20-21, 18-19, 17-18, 16-17.
They're fairly consistent.
They're consistent. Yeah. They're consistently playing.
And then if not, they're probably in Europe. But they're playing in Euro.
And I mean, the game was in Portugal, right? Like they played in Portugal. And honestly, it was an absolute beauty of a shot from I think his name is Galeno. So like it was an absolutely beautiful shot, like corner shot. It was magnificent. But Porto is like an Atletico Madrid when it comes to Europe. They shithouse you. Like they pushed Inter to the limit last season. They are very nitty gritty. They're a grit team. Like they do not care, right? They will shithouse the hell out of you. So that is always going to be one of the biggest weaknesses for Premier League teams is when you play against shithouse teams. Premier League teams struggle because Porto, Atletico Madrid don't care about, style. They will low block and they will make you suffer. And then when you do, it's game over in a sense. So Arsenal, not very well experienced in dealing with teams that play compact, organized, low blocks. So there you go. Like they've got that Mourinho DNA, as somebody made in the comments there. It's just how Porto gave us an issue and we had Ronaldo, right? Like they beat us, unfortunately. So it doesn't surprise me. I mean, obviously we'll see how Arsenal respond in London. But yeah, I mean, that game didn't really shock me. I was shocked that it took a little bit later for Porto to get that goal, but I always knew it was going to be a 1-goal game.
What's this? Xiao Magic. Did I say that right? I probably didn't.
Yeah, that's their coach.
Yeah,
we were
it's
linked.
A harder name.
We were linked with him after Pirlo got sacked.
I think I do remember that. That's wild. Yeah.
Because, Juve had this thing where anybody that knocked them out in the Champions League, they would sign them the very next season.
Player or coach, apparently. Yeah.
But he was going to be the coach. But I guess they were just like, no, we're not doing this anymore. But man.
Gone.
Porto I think Porto are the team that knocks out some of the best teams in the Champions League for shits and giggles. They've always done it. So it doesn't surprise me if they knock out Arsenal. I think there's 2 games that I'm going to be, 3 games that I'm going to be engaged in watching. Obviously, it's going to be Lazio and Bayern Munich. That's one I'm looking forward to seeing. I want to see, if Bayern Munich really was just kind of like, nah, F it, we'll win it at home, or if they're really in trouble. The other game I want to pay attention to is I want to see how Simeone targets this Inter team, because Inter will burn you in transition if you're not careful. And Simeone has to attack, even though he's at home. And then the last game is going to be Napoli-Barcelona, even though that game I saw today was utterly dreadful. Like, it's that, like, that gap is so damn huge between, like, for example, Inter, Atletico, Barcelona, and Napoli. Like, I have never seen a skill gap that different. And that's the crazy thing, right? Freaking Barcelona. Like, Barcelona looks like a mid-table club with the way that they play. Like, the only reason why they're in the top 4 in Spain is because of the money that they've invested. Like, if they didn't have the Lewandowski, the De Jongs, and all those other players, I guarantee you they don't make top 4. With the way that Xavi has these guys playing, they do not make top 4.
You can say the same about us, really, to a lesser extent, but with reference to Italy.
Possibly, yeah, right. If we didn't have Allegri, we wouldn't make top 4. That would just, what the F? And then just people smash the cameras and stuff.
Vlad's seeing Tuchel at
Spotify Camp Nou. Oh my God. If they hire Tuchel, if Barcelona hire Tuchel, that is the most Barcelona move ever. Most Barcelona move ever. If I'm Real Madrid, if Ancelotti does retire at the end of the season, I am going after Xabi Alonso. 100% going after Xabi Alonso. I would get him before Liverpool do, because Xabi Alonso is going to go to one of 2 clubs, Liverpool or Real Madrid, one of those 2. David says Porto will park 9 on the box and see how Arsenal handles that. Arsenal is good against teams that try to ball themselves in and leave space behind. Porto will not do that. Frankie says Upamecano is going through it, man. David says, I think we don't, Vlad, because Tuchel wants specific players and Barca can't pay for them. Frankie says, back-to-back red cards.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that.
He's trying to get Dave. He's trying to get Delit to play. Vlad says, German Dave, don't be surprised if he wanted to coach in Spain for a long time and sit by the beaches in the sunshine and just be his best self.
The best version of himself.
I know. But I think I've got everything we've got to say. You guys have anything? I think we can hit it.
There's any last minute things. There's a few. I can just mention, I don't know, not some of the more minor articles that got put up into the Discord, which, since we're talking about the Discord, that's the QR code. Link is also in the description. And when you go down there, you can hit a like and subscribe if you don't mind. But Juve asking for fans to write down on Valentine's Day how they fell in love with the club. Oh, isn't that sweet?
How many Allegri outs?
That was from IFTV.
Oh.
Yeah, that was just an article. So, I don't know, on X, maybe. I guess we can go and see how many there are in there. Fuck it. Let's check it out. Oh, I made it too big.
That's what she said. That's what she said.
Okay, there it is. Let's go into the comments. When I used to tell my blind grandpa about the games, that one hits hard. Oh, well.
No, that's it.
Jesus. Okay.
That's actually
Baggio and Vialli just geniuses. Then after it was Peruzzi, the at Azzurri EN, most underrated, but my favorite. Okay, I don't know, he added somebody. Mad respect for this club, a PSG fan.
I thought Valentine's Day wasn't for cheaters.
I thought, okay. Oh, he's a Habs fan, a Montreal Canadian. So he's probably an Inter fan and a Habs fan. There is nothing right with this guy. Nothing. Fuck that guy. Okay, moving on. Did anyone put cheating year in, year out?
When Moji opened up his bank account in the Swiss. That's funny. Every single one of them should say, I'm a follower who supports the biggest, who just wants to support the biggest team.
Oh, there's a lot of shitty people. But then why are they following the Juve account?
I don't know. Yeah, it's IFTV that's posting it, that shared it, and they probably commented on it. And those are just bots. This man makes me rich. Be a billionaire by sport betting.
Yeah, fucking bots. This is such a horrible platform. I don't know why anybody uses it.
I'm glad we don't use it.
We do. I do. What do you mean? We use it, unfortunately.
Not religiously.
No, I don't.
Like I don't actively post on there. Like, I just read stuff.
I will once in a while. If Julia scores, I repost. You know,
that's the only reason why you have it.
Which she did. She did the last game.
Yeah. All right. We're at an hour and 43 minutes. I think it is time for the music and the time.
Really, you just don't care. I'm gonna blast through 3 more. I know. We'll get you to bed. Don't worry, Dash. Anthony Martial, possibility in the summer. Probably not. That's from CalciumMercato.com. Fuck Dash. Keep it together.
That's how I felt about that. Because come on, really, Martial of all players.
Martial. I know. I said Martial. I just
Marshall.
It is Marshall. He's English. Hey, Marshall. Whatever. Samuel Illing Jr. has not impressed. No shit. Gazetta. Thanks for keeping up. Okay. Also, Frankie. These are all Frankie. This is all for you, Frankie. You're keeping Dash up, by the way. It's all your fault. We're getting rid of Weah and putting in Barbieri, apparently.
Okay. All right.
And that's that. Okay, now we're actually done. I quick fired that bitch for you.
Yeah, he's like, I love seeing Dash's replies on. That's how I used to do it, right? I would just look at like people that would make really dumb takes, and I would just sit here and be like, well, if we actually do this, 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 and this, and then I'm pretty sure people look at it and be like, oh, where the fuck did this guy come from? Like, sorry guys, I enjoy my peace and quiet. I'm not active on social media.
500 euros to watch SmackDown. That's
And
one show.
That's a
or
meet
two
and greet.
shows.
That's one show. Bash in Berlin package.
To actually go. It's like an in-person thing.
Yeah, it's an
Okay.
thing.
I thought that was like a pay-per-view. I'm like,
no. So it's like a
Jesus.
meet. Yeah, it's German Dave says I think I will not go. Speaking of wrestling, so I am planning to wake up at 5 a.m. to watch the Elimination Chamber. I'll probably be on Discord. So if people want to watch along, I know German Dave will probably hop on because it's like 10:30 in the morning for him. Sal's probably out because he is sleeping, and Frankie, 4 a.m. I don't know if Frankie's willing to do it, but it's
that's
up to
5
Frankie.
a.m. for me. I don't know. I might be up having a coffee. If you guys are up, I might join in.
So, we'll listen to Caffeinated Dave say, "Damn, she slammed the fuck out of her."
Caffeinated Dave is great.
Yeah, Sleepy Dave is good, but Caffeinated Dave is fun. So probably do some banter in there as well. And
don't forget Prison Dave.
Prison Dave. We love Prison Dave. But I think that's pretty much it. I think we've got that, and yeah.
So Dash is tired. He probably needs to do some laundry and some groceries.
He
does it on Wednesday for some reason.
I need to go to the gym. I skipped on the gym so I could watch the Monopoly game.
See, I just sprinted 15 minutes on the bike before I started.
Yeah, I need to do a full 1 hour, 30 minutes full body workout. I need to do the squats, the bicep curls. Need to get the neighbor and get it harder. It's nice and big. Very juicy, just so they like it more. But okay.
Oh boy. Well, since it's German Dash theme tonight, take it away, buddy.
All right. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Tinfoil Hat Show. Everybody needs to go in and like and subscribe on the video, and then after do some push-ups, get some bicep curls. And if you just joined in, watch it because you get to see more German Dash, read the German article. So on that note, we'll see you later.
Oh, man. I know Dave will know this. He kind of reminds me that last little thing there, a bit like Toto Wolff, Mercedes team principal, F1. Yeah. Yeah, it was a fun one. It was a fun one. Definitely watch it again. Hit up the Discord. And thank you very much, German Dash. I hope to see you again next time, because I know you Germans like to have fun.
It's Austrian.